Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today for our conversation on how to understand your priorities and get a good sense of your goals and direction for your creative career. My name is Eilish. I'm one of the career advisors at the Career and Professional Development Office here at Art Center. And today we're going to be walking through a couple of different exercises that you can use to help better understand what some of your priorities and preferences and directions are for your creative career, both for this class and also in general for the rest of your time at Art Center and beyond. So let's get started. Some of the things that we're going to talk through today are the benefits of self-reflection, the actual process of self-reflection, and some questions that we can ask ourselves there, understanding your priorities and some questions to ask yourself to go through that process, some additional reflection questions that can really help flesh out the information that we've already learned about ourselves, and then what we can do with this information and how we can follow up to better understand the direction that we can take it. So, what are some of the benefits of self-reflection? Well, first and foremost, it's really going to help you get a better understanding of your values, not only as an artist and as a designer, but also as a person. So what do you value about your day-to-day? What do you value about your output as an individual, both for yourself and also for your creative community? It's really going to help you understand how you can connect what those values are with the process of your job search. So how those values interact with the types of positions you're going to be interested in, the direction that you'll take those positions, etc. Next, it'll make the job search process a lot more manageable because we have an understanding of how those values connect with our job search. We'll be able to manage what our job search looks like a lot easier. It'll really help target the job and internship search process for us. So these two are kind of connected. We'll really be able to fine tune what our job and our internship search process looks like when we better understand what we're looking for and what will give us the most value for our experience. And then finally, I think that it'll really help better understand our own drive as an artist. So what pushes us forward? What types of environment are we able to succeed and thrive and grow in versus maybe what doesn't feel so right for us? And all of these pieces together are going to be things that we can reflect on, things that can help us better understand who we are, and what we can do with what our skills are. So let's talk through self-reflection. Now, you're all going to have access to a sheet that looks very similar to this that gives you 4 different prompts here. And what I would love for all of you to do is just take 5 to 10 minutes to answer these questions. You can write down directly in the sheet itself the first thing that comes to your mind. You don't need to think about it from any perspective other than the first thing that comes to your mind. So those questions are, I am, I care deeply about, my art and design is, and my dream job or opportunity is. And this could be what you would like to do every day. It could be how it makes you feel. It could be a specific title at a specific company. Whatever feels the most right when you think about it, kind of like first reflex. I want to encourage everybody to add that information in now. If you would like to pause this video to do that, you can do so. But I really want everybody to think through these questions, get them down on a piece of paper. And then once you've done that, come back to this video and we'll talk through some reflection questions on our self-reflection so that we can better understand the information that we've just learned about ourselves. So now that we're back, we filled out our self-reflection sheet. A couple of questions that I really want us to ask ourselves. Which of these quadrants do you feel like was the easiest to answer, and why was that so? Alternatively, which one was the hardest to answer, and why do you think that that was the fact? These types of things are a really good way for us to better understand kind of what we place immediate value on and what we immediately know about ourselves. What is our inherent knowledge of ourselves and what we want versus maybe what takes a little bit more digging and understanding for ourselves to get to. Next question. Was there anything that was surprising about your approach to answering these questions? Was there anything surprising about which one was harder versus easier, or which one you had a really long answer to versus a really short answer to? Or was there anything that, didn't surprise you at all, or nothing surprised you at all, and you really just feel like you know exactly what's going on? Next question. What did you learn about your potential future employer from this exercise? So we have that last question here of my dream job or opportunity looks like. But we also have the one before it. So my art and design is, or I care about. So what have we learned about what we could potentially want from an employer from answering these questions? Do we really care about sustainability and environmental impact? So we really want to work for an employer who prioritizes those things. Do we really care about the ability to have full control over our art and design? So we want to work in a scenario where we're allowed to have full creative control and make those creative decisions for ourselves and for others, maybe if we have clients. Did we not maybe learn anything new because we already have a good understanding of the job title and the company or the type of company that we want to work in? Because that's really valuable too. And then finally, why do you think that doing this exercise is going to be beneficial for the start of your job search or your internship search? So what parts of the information that we've just learned have benefited us? What parts of the information can we apply immediately versus long-term? And what are we planning on doing with this information? So again, I really want to encourage everybody to think through some or all of these questions. Maybe write some notes down for yourself. Maybe just keep it up in your noggin, whatever you prefer. But either way, think through these questions. Really reflect back on your answers to these questions and say to yourself, what have I learned about myself new that maybe I didn't think about or know about myself before? Or what have I already known about myself or believed about myself, but that's really been cemented for me in thinking through this self-reflection exercise? So I hope that everybody enjoyed that. And as we move forward with this video, we're going to move into our next kind of conversation about understanding our priorities. So there are many different priorities that we might want to consider when we're going about our job search process or our internship search process. And I'm going to talk about 4 primary ones today, but know that there are also other priorities that you might be considering that you should absolutely make note of and consider as you're going through that process, and that CPD is here to support you with, and that all of your priorities are important, and it's really possible to understand them well and be able to find something that supports and helps you grow within those priorities. So let's talk about what these 4 different areas are. So first and foremost, we have our day-to-day experience. So what would you like your ideal day-to-day experience in the workplace to look like? What are you designing? Are you working by yourself? Are you working on a team? What types of people are you working with? Do you prefer to go into an office? Would you like to work from home? Do you want to work a traditional kind of 9-to-5 schedule that allows you to understand in advance what your schedule will be? Or are you more interested in a flexible schedule where maybe some days you work a long day to get things done for a particular client or a particular project, but other days you might only work a few hours and you're able to schedule that for yourself entirely on your own? Next question is, what type of work interests you? So what is the day-to-day that is going to best make you feel like you're producing and growing and creating work that you're proud of? And a great way to think about this is to reflect back on what classes have you enjoyed? What type of art that you've produced has made you feel the happiest? What type of work that you've produced makes you feel the most true to yourself? Is there something in particular that you've really enjoyed, or alternatively, something in particular that you've really hated making and you know that you don't want to do that, which is just as helpful as knowing what you do want to do sometimes? And then finally, what types of keywords or key skills are present in this work or this day-to-day that you can use as part of your job search, that you can incorporate into your resume or a portfolio website to really better understand you and what you can bring? So after day-to-day, we have our location. And location is a really, really great consideration because it helps us either kind of specify things down or condense things down, or open us up to a whole host of opportunities. So are you prepared to move if needed for a job or an internship that's a great fit for you? If so, how far would you be willing to move? Are you willing to move to a different country? Are you willing to move outside of the city that you've grown up in and are currently living in? Are you willing to move across the country or maybe to another state? Or alternatively, on the opposite end of that, are you really passionate about staying close to home and you really want to be within 3 hours of your hometown and the friends and family that you've grown up with? Because that's also really helpful information. The next question, kind of after you've answered those, is there anything that keeps you from moving or that you would need to consider in advance of moving if you did make that decision? So for example, do you own a house that would need to be sold or rented out in order to move to a different location? Do you have a job that's either maybe full-time or part-time that you would want to be able to keep, or you would need to maybe keep making money in order to relocate to a different place? If you were at an internship that didn't pay livable wage, or you were taking another job in another city that was also part-time. Do you have friends and family who you are part of the care team for, and you would like to remain close to them, or you would like to set up additional care for them before you leave? And finally, and this is one that I think a lot of people don't think about, but that is really important, are there certain aspects of your identity that can only be supported in specific locations? And I'll give you an example about this for myself. So I don't drive. I don't have a license. I never learned how to drive a car. And for a long time, after I graduated secondary school, went to college, etc., I lived in New York City. So great public transit there. And I never really needed to learn how to drive a car. A year ago, I moved to Los Angeles, which is obviously a little bit more of a driving city, right? So I'm somewhat limited in where I can live in Los Angeles while still being able to use public transportation in order to get to work at Art Center, or to go to the grocery shop, or to the mail, to the post office, to anything that I might need to do. And if I ever leave Los Angeles and I am still not able to drive or not interested in driving, I will need to move to a city where I'm able to use public transportation, or I'll need to be in a job that either allows me to work from home completely and pays me enough to use car share or car ride services, so that I'm able to get around and do the things that I need to do for my life. Other examples of this are if you are a congregant of a certain type of church or kind of religious experience, and you would like to be able to go to worship at the particular house of worship associated with that religion, and you want to make sure that there's one close by. Or you want to be in an environment where things like tattoos and facial piercings are accepted. And so you know that you need to be in a community where that is a little bit more accessible or common than not. And again, this is something that I really recommend thinking about before you go through the process of, finding a job, interviewing for it, and accepting that job offer, because there are a lot of places that we think would be a great place to live. And then we get there and we realize, you know what, this is probably a great place to live for other people, but it doesn't really feel like the right fit for me. And having a good understanding of what we need kind of culturally out of the place that we're living in is really, really beneficial for us. So our next two priorities that we want to be thinking about. First and foremost here, or I guess third, money and compensation. So this is one of the most important things that people think of, or one of the things that people think of the most and first. So you may already have a good understanding of some of these answers, but let's go through them anyway. So first and foremost, what's the average compensation for positions that you're interested in? If you already have some titles or some types of companies that you want to work at, what is average salary? In addition to that, what is the cost of living in the city or the areas that you want to live in to work in those companies? Do those match? Are you able to support the lifestyle that you would live in that city with that salary? If not, are you willing to take another job? Are you interested in negotiating, etc.? Third question, are there any perks outside of salary that you're interested in? So let's say you are comfortable with a wide salary bracket. You know that your day-to-day living expenses are not super high, right? So you want to be making a nice salary, but you don't need to be making a super high salary necessarily in order to make your expenses and feel comfortable financially. However, you're really passionate about traveling. You really, really, really love to visit your family or hang out with friends, go with a partner to see a new country or a new city. And so you want to have a nice personal time off package. PTO, which is personal or paid time off, can encompass your vacation time, sick time, personal days, etc. And maybe you really want to make sure that you have a nice amount of vacation time every year in order to do the things that you love with the people that you love. Alternatively, maybe you're willing to accept a lower salary now for a really great retirement benefit situation. Maybe the company that you work for is willing to match your retirement contribution, or they offer you a really great life insurance policy free of charge as part of your employment there. If there are any of these things, let's start thinking about what in part of those we would want. Number 4 is, are you willing to sacrifice any part of your current lifestyle if your job could not support that lifestyle? So salary-wise, maybe you want to live in a specific city that has a very high cost of living, and the average salary ranges for your type of position do not match that city. Is there anything that you're able to sacrifice? Would you be willing to cancel a gym membership to go running on the street or work out at home? Are you willing to eat out less, potentially? Are you willing to live in a different city than maybe the high cost of living one that you'd originally considered in order to have a lower cost of living and a more comfortable financial situation in relation to the salary that you have? Finally, our last priority that we're going to be talking about today is type of employment. So do you have any idea if you want to work full-time, part-time, freelance, contract work? If so, why? What is it about that particular situation that feels the most fulfilling to you? Next, what is the most common in your industry? There are a lot of art and design industries where the most common type of work is freelance work. This is, generally speaking, a pretty well-known fact. And I would encourage everybody to kind of research and better understand this, but there are a lot of parts of the art and design world where freelance or contract work is the most common and is something that you will be expected to be open to in order to participate in that industry. Now, if you want to go into a specific area that freelance work is common in, and you never want to work freelance a day in your life, that's a really great time to consider, is this the right industry for me? What are the options for me to do full-time work, even if they're not really common? Let me identify what those are so I can start planning for them in advance. And finally, do you have a preference for working at a small company versus a large company? Do you have preference for size, for the type of the company structure, etc.? And a good thing to note here is that while this is not across the board, at a larger company, your role might be a little bit more specialized, whereas at a smaller company, your role might be a little bit more generalized. So you're doing a lot of different types of work in a lot of different types of areas that could translate to more different types of roles in the future, versus at a larger company, you're doing highly specialized work, producing a highly specialized product or design that could be really valued by a highly specialized group outside of the company you work at for your career progression in the future. Now, those are our big 4 priorities. And again, these are not the totality of priorities that you may consider for your job search. There are many others that you might want to consider as well. But this is a great place to start, and thinking through these 4 covers a lot of bases. So what can we do with this information? I really recommend going to the next sheet down after you've filled out all of this priorities info and thinking about a ranking of your priorities. So which one of these pieces, your day-to-day, your compensation, your location, or the type of company is the most important to you? As in, I am more flexible on every other facet of this job as long as it meets my compensation requirements, or I am flexible about every other facet of this job as long as it meets my location requirements, and so on and so forth. So you're going to rank the one that is most important to you, number one, and so on and so forth. And from here, you're going to get a better picture about where we start thinking about our job search or our internship search and where we go from there. So if it doesn't really matter to you what type of company or what type of employment you're in, that would probably be in position number 4. And you'll be able to consider full-time, part-time, freelance jobs, etc. If you know that you want to be in a major metropolitan area, you're probably going to prioritize looking at positions specifically in Los Angeles or San Francisco or New York or Chicago or Beijing or Melbourne or London or any of the other major cities around the world. Again, if you're looking for a specific salary, that's probably going to be at the top of your list. And you're going to prioritize positions that offer at minimum that salary that you're looking for, whatever the other factors are. And again, having a better understanding of how these rank really helps us build out what our priorities are, how they fit into our larger job search, etc. So what do we do next? We have a couple of additional reflection questions that I want to invite everybody to consider before we wrap up for the day. So first and foremost, number 1 question, out of the classes that you've taken at Art Center, which ones have been your favorite? Second question, what are some of your favorite skills that you've developed and how are they applicable in your industry or in general to an employer? And then finally, how do you hope to grow as a professional and how can your employer help facilitate that? All 3 of these questions are a little bit more hypothetical, right? And they take a little bit more maybe consideration. But thinking through these different questions, again, really helps us fill out what are some of these other benefits that I would be looking for as part of an employer. And then from there, we can start thinking about how they interact, again, with our job search strategy. So if there's a specific way that you want to grow as a professional, if you want to be able to be mentored, if you want to do professional development opportunities, etc., we're probably going to want to, for example, ask when we're negotiating, how can I grow with this company? Do you have growth potential, etc. So with all of that said, I just want to give us some suggestions for following up. If any of you have any questions about what to do with any of the information that we've gleaned from ourselves, I really encourage you all to make a Zoom advising appointment, visit CPD, speak to myself or another career advisor at your convenience. This is going to be a great way to really get the most of your answers to these questions and, really explore what they could mean for you, for your career, etc. And the one thing that I want everyone to keep in mind is that your answers to these questions now might change in 5 years. In 5 years, you might have traveled the world, taken a position in a city you've never lived in, and then decided, I don't want to do that ever again. I want to be close to family and friends. Or you might take a job that's really low paying because it feels like it's a great opportunity to grow and learn. And then after that, you say, I don't want to do that ever again. I want to feel financially secure and comfortable, even if that means that maybe I'm not doing a job that says, quote unquote, exciting for me because I want to feel that security. So know that that can always change and be adjusted and that that's okay. So with that said, I hope that everybody has enjoyed this experience, has enjoyed exploring and self-reflecting with me. If you have any questions, if you would like to schedule an appointment, you can always reach out to us at careers@artcenter.edu. You can visit our website. You can check us out on Instagram. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.